Hi, what do you need to ask yourself before quitting on a tactic? Don't get me wrong, I'm a big fan of quitting. If a tactic's not working, stop, move on. In fact, we based our whole outsourced marketing business, you may know if you've been watching the show for a while or if you know us through some other means, we've really got three businesses. We've got a planning and training company, we've got an outsourced marketing business, and we've got a software business. I'm talking for the minute about the outsourced marketing business, which we only do here in Australia. The others we do around the world. Now, for the outsourced marketing business, we base the whole premise on the idea that one tactic may not work, and if you hire an agency who's only good at that one tactic, they're going to keep on telling you that's the one tactic to do. So again, don't get me wrong, I am a fan of quitting a tactic, moving on to something else or something else or something else. But I've got 5 questions you need to ask yourself before quitting on the tactic. First question is, was it a poor tactic or did you execute it poorly? Often a great idea that's executed badly looks like a really bad idea. Maybe it wasn't. So ask yourself first, did we execute well before moving on? Second question's a little bit more complicated and you have to think about, was it the predecessor's fault or this tactic's fault? Quick example. So we have an event, that's a tactic, and the invitation process is another tactic. So did the event fail or did the invitation process fail? Another example, you've got a direct mail piece going out and that's being followed up by telemarketing. The telemarketing failed. Was it the telemarketing or was it the direct mail at fault? Or, keep going back, did we actually have the wrong list? Out of date, wrong audience, just a poor audience, unreceptive audience. Think carefully, can we truly say this tactic didn't work, but its predecessor did? If so, that's a great reason to, or great occasion to quit that tactic. But ask first, was it this tactic or one of the tactics that preceded it? The third question you ask is, what benefit did we enjoy from this tactic? Let's use the example of an event that we talked about before. Perhaps we failed to generate leads, but we positioned really clearly. Now that's not an excuse or not a reason for keeping the tactic, because as a positioning tactic, it might be a very poor tactic. But judge it on the benefits that you did enjoy from it. If the purpose of the event was to generate demand and that failed, what benefit did we enjoy, and assess it on the merits of that outcome, even if that outcome is different from the outcome you intended. Conversely, what was the true cost? External cost, of course, but also the cost of time. Think about the true cost when you're assessing whether this tactic failed or not. And finally, do we have an alternative tactic? If you've got a flow lined up and you kill this tactic, you need a replacement for it. Now again, that's not an excuse for hanging on to a failed tactic, but do we have an alternative lined up before sacking the tactic? So in summary, here are the 5 questions to ask before quitting a failed tactic. Was it a poor tactic or did we execute poorly? Was it this tactic's fault or one of the predecessor tactics? Think about list versus the DM piece. What benefit did we see? What was the true cost? And do we have a better alternative? So I mentioned before a flow, and obviously we need to have that whole flow mapped out. How will we do everything from finding names to closing deals and everything in between? Answering that question is the job of your funnel plan. It helps you work out your strategy, your velocity and your tactics, and do that together, sales, marketing, finance and ops. Now if you have a funnel plan, you know what I mean. If you don't, go get one. Go to funnelplan.com and check out what it's all about. Hey, I hope you got value out of this week's really quick show. I've got lots more lined up for next week. Until then, may your funnel be full and always flowing. Our thanks this week to you for watching this week's show, Jane Tyquin for blog production, John Ang for video production. My name's Hugh McFarlane and it's been my absolute pleasure to have scripted and presented this week's show.